Hey everyone, and welcome back to Tell Me More Stories Told as Podcast. You know, Today we're diving into a name that might seem pretty simple at first glance.
Simple.
Yeah, Drake.
Yeah.
But get ready for some twists and turns, because we're about to uncover a whole world of Drakes that go way beyond what you might expect.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. We're talking ducks and dragons, ships and schools, even a cannon. It's really remarkable how far-reaching this one name is.
Yeah, I am definitely intrigued already. So, to kick things off, let's start with probably the most familiar Drake for most of us, the male duck. I mean, everyone knows what a Drake is, but I'm curious, is there anything more to the story behind that name?
You bet there is. It might seem like just an everyday word, but Drake has some pretty fascinating roots. It probably comes from an Old English word, enetraka. And get this, some scholars think it might be connected to the word end.
Okay, how so?
Well, the theory is that it refers to how male ducks swim, with their tails sticking up.
Ah, okay, so it's highlighting their rear ends.
Yeah. Exactly. It's a funny little linguistic quirk, isn't it?
It really is. Okay, so we've got our everyday Drake, but the name also has kind of a mythical side to it, right?
Oh, absolutely. We can't forget about the drake that breathes fire and soars through the skies, the dragon. These days we tend to use drake and dragon as separate words, but in older English texts, they were sometimes used interchangeably.
Oh, wow, so they were like synonyms.
Pretty much. It's a cool example of how language changes over time, and words that were once so closely linked can end up going their separate ways.
That makes me wonder how many other words we use every day have completely different origins than what we think. It's like this hidden history of language just waiting to be discovered. Okay, before we get too lost in the world of words, we do have to acknowledge the Drake that probably brought a lot of us here today.
You mean?
The one and only Drake, the Canadian rapper. I think it's safe to say everyone knows who we're talking about.
Of course. Drake's impact on music and pop culture is undeniable. But you're right, for this deep dive, we're putting the spotlight on the name itself and all its amazing connections.
It's like we're on a treasure hunt, uncovering all these hidden Drakes.
Hmm.
And speaking of uncovering, I'm noticing a lot of these Drakes seem to be connected to water. Is that just a coincidence?
That's a sharp observation, and it's definitely not a coincidence. Many places, especially those named after the famous explorer Sir Francis Drake, are found near water. Take Drake Passage, for instance.
Great passage.
Yeah, it's a notoriously rough stretch of water connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans at the southern tip of South America. And then there's Drake Head in Antarctica, named during a British expedition in the early 1900s. It's really no surprise considering Sir Francis Drake was, well, a legendary sailor and explorer.
Wow, it really puts his explorations into perspective. I'm trying to picture these rough, icy waters, and it just hits differently when you think about what those early explorers had to face. Speaking of Sir Francis and the sea, we can't forget about all the ships that bear the name Drake, too.
You're absolutely right. There have been multiple HMS Drake ships throughout history, each with its own unique story. One that stands out is the HMS Drake that served in World War I. She was a powerful armored cruiser, played a vital role in several naval battles.
What happened to her?
Well, in 1917, she was torpedoed and sunk by a German submarine off the coast of Ireland.
Wow, that's a powerful reminder that behind every ship's name, there are human stories of bravery, adventure, and sometimes tragedy as well. And it wasn't just individual ships named Drake. There was a whole class of cruisers named after him.
You're talking about the Drake-class cruiser.
Exactly. What can you tell us about them?
Well, they were a major class of armored cruisers in the Royal Navy in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Designed for both speed and firepower, they were really at the forefront of naval technology at the time. They saw action all over the world, showing just how enduring Drake's name has been in naval history.
It's really amazing how one name can be woven into so many different threads of history.
All right, let's shift gears a bit and explore some Drakes that you're probably not going to find on a typical map or a playlist.
Ooh, hidden Drakes.
Yeah, exactly. Those kind of hidden gems that really show how a name can really transcend time and place.
I'm all about those hidden gems. So where should we start this treasure hunt?
How about a little British history? Let's talk about the Drake baronets.
Drake baronets. Now you've got me curious.
You might be wondering, what exactly is a baronet? Well, it's a hereditary rank in the British system, a step below a baron, but above a knight. Think of it like a mini nobility title.
Like a mini Sir Drake situation.
Exactly. And there were actually 3 Drake baronetcies throughout history.
Wow, 3. So there were actual Sir Drakes walking around. That's pretty cool.
You know, it makes you think about those grand estates and fancy titles and the lineage connecting all these different people to the Drake name, maybe even back to Sir Francis himself.
It's like a secret society of Drakes. Okay, so we've got British aristocracy covered. Now, how about we jump across the globe to, let's see, Hong Kong?
You got it. Right in the middle of bustling Hong Kong, you'll find Drake Street.
Drake Street.
Yeah, it's a vibrant street known for its shops and restaurants, a real mix of old and new. There's no direct link to Sir Francis Drake or anything like that, but it does make you think about how a name can travel the world and end up in the most unexpected places.
It's like a little piece of the Drake legacy tucked away in this amazing city. And speaking of traveling, we've covered ships and even a few icy locales. But what about air travel?
Well, for that, how about we touch down in Arkansas? There's Drake Field, a public-use airport serving the surrounding communities. It might not be as glamorous as an international airport, but it plays a vital role in connecting people and places. It's a reminder that the name Drake is linked to travel and exploration, from those early sea voyages to modern-day air travel.
From ships to planes, the Drakes really do get around. Okay, with all this traveling, I'm starting to feel a bit peckish. Think we have time for a quick snack break?
I could definitely go for a bite. But before we do, I think we need to address the elephant in the room, or maybe I should say the cannon in the room.
The Drake cannon. Good one. We can't forget about that one.
Definitely not. The Drake cannon was a serious weapon used in naval warfare during the 16th century. They were known for their long range and firepower, and they played a crucial role in some major naval battles of that era.
So explorers, musicians, and now some serious firepower. This name really does pack a punch. Okay, I think I'm officially ready for that snack break now. Welcome back, everyone, to Tell Me More Stories Told Us podcast. We're in the home stretch of our Drake deep dive, and I think we've saved some of the best for last.
I'd say so. We're going beyond ships and cannons now, into sports, science, even a little World War II history.
Okay, you've got my attention. What have we got?
Well, for all the sports fans listening, you might be familiar with the Drake Stadium.
You mean the one at Drake University?
Well, yes, but there's actually another one too.
Wait, seriously, there's 2?
2 Drake stadiums. There's the one at Drake University, which we talked about, but there's also another Drake Stadium all the way over at UCLA.
Wow, what are the chances? Makes you wonder if there's any connection or if it's just a happy accident of naming.
Right. It would be fun to dig a little deeper and see if there's any shared history there.
Definitely adding that to my research list. And speaking of discovery, we can't forget about the Drake Planetarium and Science Center in Cincinnati.
Oh, that's a great one. A fantastic place to explore the universe. They've got that incredible planetarium, interactive exhibits, all sorts of educational programs. It's a perfect example of how the Drake name is linked to knowledge and exploration, both here on Earth and out in space.
I love that. You know, going through all these Drakes, it really hits you. Yeah, how much history and how many stories are packed into a single name.
Yeah.
It's kind of made me realize I'm a bit of a sucker for a good historical mystery.
Oh,
And I think I may have found one.
really?
Yeah, so during World War II, there was this battle called Operation Drake.
Operation Drake.
Yep. It took place on Goodenough Island in Papua New Guinea. I don't know about you, but that just screams adventure story.
It does have a certain ring to it. World War II battles are always fascinating to learn about, especially the lesser-known ones.
Right. And it makes you wonder why they named it after Drake. Was there some strategic link to Sir Francis Drake's naval tactics?
Yeah.
Or maybe the island itself had some connection to his voyages. It's like a little historical puzzle.
It really is. A good reminder that even in a name as simple as Drake, there are all these layers of history, connections, stories just waiting to be uncovered. Speaking of uncovering, we have one last Drake on our list.
Oh, lay it on me.
This one takes a bit of a darker turn. There's Drake Memorial Hospital in Cincinnati. It has a really complex history because that's where serial killer Donald Harvey committed many of his crimes.
Wow, that's a chilling reminder that even names with good associations can be touched by darkness and tragedy.
It is. It's a stark contrast to all the explorers and musicians and everything else we've talked about. But it also highlights the complex nature of history, how one name can hold such a wide range of human experiences.
Well, that brings our Drake deep dive to a close. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed by all the amazing drakes we've uncovered.
It's been quite the journey. We've gone from ducks to dragons, explorers to rappers, and everything in between. It just shows you how much is hidden in a single name, all these stories and connections just waiting to be explored.
And that's what Tell Me More Stories Told Us podcast is all about. We want to spark your curiosity, help you see the world in new ways.
And one last thought for our listeners.
Yeah.
Which Drake surprised you the most? What sparked your curiosity? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
So until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking, tell me more.